Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Math with Stone. Today we are going to be looking at arc length and the area of a sector, which will involve two formulas that we'll use in a variety of different ways. The first one of which is the circumference formula. Okay, so the circumference formula, we'll do a few warm-up problems. The circumference formula is equal to 2 pi r. The circumference is equal to 2 pi r. Now, just so we have it, our area, on the other hand, is equal to pi r squared. And you need to know those two formulas. Without those two formulas, you can't do this problem. So, what we're going to do is we are going to find the circumference of number 1, which if we know our radius is just going to be 2 pi times 4, which is 8 pi, technically 8 pi centimeters. And it is as easy as that. Okay, now there's a few other variants that you could be given. For instance, if you're given the diameter, if you're given the area, and you're asked to find the circumference, then we are going to be able to do it slightly differently as well. So, if we were given, let's say, the diameter is 18, well, that would mean that the radius is just 9, because the diameter is all the way across the circle and the radius is halfway across. So we would do 2 pi times 9, which would be 18 pi, and technically that would be feet. All right? What we're going to be doing now is instead of finding the entire circumference, we're going to be finding the length of an arc. And the length of an arc is not the whole way around the circle, but part of it. And that part is going to be indicated by either 30 degrees or 195 degrees or something like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a cross multiplication. We have 195 degrees out of the entire circle, 360, is going to be equal to what portion of the circumference out of the entire circumference. And I'm going to fill in my 8 for 2 pi r. This is where we had 2 pi r for the entire circumference. Okay? So that's where that came from. 195 is the portion of the circle we're looking for. X is the portion of the circumference we're looking for. If you want, you can simplify ahead of time. If you don't, you can cross multiply from here. We get 195 times, I'm going to go ahead and just write 16 pi because 8 times 2 is 16, will equal 360x. And from this point, we could divide by 360. You could multiply the 195 times 16, which I feel like doing just because I don't know what we would get from dividing by 360 as it currently stands. It's a big number, 3120 pi equals 360 x. And we divide by 360, divide by 360, and it turns into a decimal, but it is going to end up being simplified. If you simplified this fraction, it simplifies down to 26 over 3, and then the pi yards equals x. Or if you actually multiplied by 3.14, if you did the 26 divided by 3 and multiply by 3.14, you end up with 27.21 yards. So, depends on what your teacher prefers. And for most of you, I am your teacher, but I like it both ways. It depends on the problem, so that's why I'm showing you both ways. It depends on the problem. In this case, I normally would prefer to show you the pi part because that's more confusing than just multiplying by 3.14. All right, let's do another one. Taking number 10. If we have 30 out of 360, that's the angle out of 360, equals what out of the entire circumference? So 2 pi r. Cross multiply. We get 30 times, I'm going to go ahead and again write 24 pi, 2 times 12 is 24, equals 360x. From here, you could multiply these two together, like we did over here. You could also, if you didn't have a calculator, which a lot of these problems are expected to be done without a calculator, believe it or not, divide by 360, which is actually somewhat easier than you'd think, because 0 and 0, they would like cancel each other out in a way. They don't. They both divide by 10. And then if we took 3 over 36, or if we just took the 24 and 36, 24 I know can divide by 4 and become 6. And 36 could divide by 4 and become 9. And then it's a lot easier to just multiply a few things together. 3 times 6 is 18 pi over 9. But actually, I know what 18 divided by 9 is too. That's 2. So our actual answer is apparently just 2 pi feet. Or, if you wanted your decimal, multiply 2 times 3.14, and you get 6.28 approximately feet. All right? So, that is how you find the length of a sector. What we're going to do now is find the area of a sector. I said length of a sector. Length of an arc. Technically, this little part from here to here is the 6.28, and we call that an arc because it's not the full circle. It's an arc. It's part of a circle. So, next few problems are going to be find the area of the sector. If you want to find the area of the sector, we're going to do it the exact same way we just did. The only difference is it says area. So instead of finding, that part on the outside, we're actually going to find the area of this section in the middle, which means we're going to use the area formula for a circle, not the circumference formula. Other than that, it remains exactly the same. 45 out of 360 is equal to the portion of the area out of the entire area. So I did pi r squared here on the bottom because it's the area problem, not the circumference formula problem. Cross multiply the exact same way. We get 45 times 49 pi. I got 49 times 7 squared equals 360x. I don't know what 45 times 49 is, so I'm going to write that down. It's 2205. 2205 pi equals 360x, which then we have to divide by 360. Divide by 360. 2205 divided by 360 is a decimal. It's 6.125 pi, which sounds like it's good enough to me. Okay? And that would be yards squared because we're dealing with the area. Area is feet squared, yards squared. Circumference is just feet or yards. If you wanted to multiply by 3.14, you would get 19.2325 yards squared approximately. That's if you multiplied by the 3.14, which is the pi. One more of these. 150 out of 360 equals what out of the entire area, pi r squared. That's the area we're looking for right there. So 150. Actually, you know what? I could cross multiply from right here, but 150 out of 360, why don't we just divide them both by 10 and just turn it to 15 out of 36? That makes it a little bit smaller, and I like that. So you can do it ahead of time. You don't have to. 15 times 64 pi, that 64 came from 8 squared times pi, equals 36x. Because I divided by this 10, I don't have 360 anymore. I just have 36. And now I can divide by 36. And I could multiply them in advance if I wanted to. I could simplify the 15 over 36. I could simplify the 64 over 36. The possibilities are not endless, but the possibilities are yours to choose what you would prefer to do. In my case, I would rather maybe divide both of those by 2 and get 32 and 18. And then realize that both 15 and 18 could divide by 3 and get 5 and 6. And I feel like that's about as far as I could go. We could do 5 times 32 pi over 6. And we could do the 5 times 32. We could have also taken the 32 and divided by 2 again. Either way, we end up with don't like where that one is, 160 pi over 6. I actually multiplied the 5 and 32 together. If we divide 160 by 6, we end up with a decimal, but that's okay. It is 80 over 3 if you simplify it, pi, and the unit of measurement was centimeters, so centimeters squared. Again, if you multiply by 3.14, you'd end up with 83.73 repeat centimeters squared if you did that. All right, so I showed you different ways that you could simplify this, but all in all, the problem remains the same. You always want to put the degrees out of 360 equals what out of either pi r squared if it's the area, or 2 pi r if it's the circumference. Don't overthink it. It's all that simple, and then you get to cross multiply. But until next time, stay positive. I will see everybody laters. Bye.